Fazal Wahid. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalam, alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you?
So good to have you early in the morning.
Thank you.
Mr. Fazal, what do you think are the real, let's say, the explanation behind procrastination? Because everyone that I know happens to experience it at some level.
A recent piece of research, it says that procrastination has nothing to do with work.
Okay.
Right? And it says that actually procrastination is a form of relief.
Right.
It is a form of stress relief.
Okay.
Because the people who struggle the most with procrastination are PhD students.
Yes.
They are engineers, they are entrepreneurs, and people who have a lot on their plate and they have a lot of things to do, so they procrastinate usually. Okay. They're the people who struggle the most with procrastination. So they said that, it is a form of stress relief because behind the procrastination, we need to address, until and unless we don't address the thing underneath it, we cannot handle procrastination.
Right.
And the thing underneath is stress.
Okay.
For example, if you have financial stress or you have a deadline for your thesis or whatever the task is, now that stress actually gives a message to your mind that, there's a lot to do and you need to get a break.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, having that stress in your mind and you go to work and then you look at the list and there are 15 calls you have to make and that requires your prefrontal cortex. Now, your prefrontal cortex looks at the list and it says, oh my God, I have to make
so
15 calls. I have so much to do.
Right.
Take a break, Okay, let's watch some YouTube videos. Let's Google something. Let's, scroll the Facebook, and they open the Facebook and then they scroll and
They're
scroll
lost
and
for
scroll
hours.
and scroll. And it lasts for hours. And then they look again at the list and say, oh my God, I didn't make it. And then again. So behind the procrastination is actually the stress that causes procrastination.
Or can we also say it's the work pressure that sort of creates the stress? But Mr. Fazal, you sort of mentioned all the people who are procrastinators. I genuinely need to ask, who are not procrastinators? I mean, are there any people who are not?
There was a program on procrastination that I was watching, and the speaker of that program, he explains it wonderfully. He said, I was really curious, like, what would be the difference between the brain of a procrastinator and the brain of a non-procrastinator. And then on a lighter note, he said that, I actually went to a laboratory and MRIs, and I had scans. And he came with a very wonderful conclusion that, people who are non-procrastinator, they have that rational decision maker in the brain. But people who are procrastinator, they have that instant gratification monkey as well in their brain, So that instant gratification actually, that tells you that, no, okay, you have enough time, you can do it later. For
reward
now,
yourself
just
first
reward
and then
yourself
work.
first. So fun and easy activities. So people tend to get involved in fun and easy activities and try to avoid activities that are causing stress. Just to avoid stress, they procrastinate.
Right.
So the major difference is actually that instant gratification. And there have been many researches and many studies on instant gratification. They took children of different ages and, then they gave them a pastry, a cake. And they observe how they eat it. So the people who ate the cake part first and the pastry, like the creamy part later, were considered disciplined children, and they were then tracked through their entire life, and they were found very successful in their lives. And people who preferred to eat the creamy part first actually were considered non-disciplined children because they followed instant gratification monkey. And when they tracked them in their lives later on, they were not that successful.
Wow. So, Mr. Fazal, I feel like when you are procrastinating quite a lot in your life, this is sort of a fear of probably facing the failure or even success, fear of facing the results. Is it true?
Yes, that has also a contributing factor in that. Actually, if we look at it closely, what procrastination is basically, procrastination is the instant gratification trap. Play now and pay later concept actually gives birth to procrastination. Human beings, we are programmed from the childhood, to bring comfort and convenience into our lives. We have made our homes very convenient, so we don't we don't tend to go out, and we are becoming indoor generations because of that. Okay. So this comfort and convenience, it is actually leading us to the procrastination. What happens, you know, we have two faculties, very excellent faculties. One is called memory and the other one is called imagination. Okay. We do not use these two faculties at the time of procrastination, nor do we remember the past, you know, what procrastination did to us, nor do we imagine the future, what will happen to us if we procrastinate and what will happen if we do not. So this basically two things, there are two things, major things that motivates us. One is pain and the other one is pleasure. These are two things that motivate us.
Definitely,
right? And what do you think, which one is the strongest, pain or pleasure?
I feel like pleasure.
No, it's the pain.
Okay, well,
pain is a very strong motivator. Yeah, pain actually motivates us like anything, not the pleasure all the time. It's the pain. Like she said, you know, when the deadline comes, then I do it. So actually, it's the pain that motivates her, not the pleasure that I'll be free on time or something like that. Okay. So it's the pain. Now, how can we utilize that pain to help us in procrastination, help us deal with procrastination? That is imagination. That one we call default future and the other one we call design future. You should paint those two pictures very vividly, like what will happen if I do it and what will happen if I don't do it. Right, and once you see those two pictures very vividly, that will give you pain and that will motivate you actually. It's like bringing the future into your present and see the consequences for yourself. So that kind of motivates you that the pleasure do not motivate you for.
Oh, perfect question for Mr. Fazal over here. Just a while ago, Ms. Shabnam and I had started talking about parenting and how, you know, it usually impacts the personality that a kid develops. So if a parent finds out that their kid is you know, just probably tilted towards or inclined towards being a procrastinator in the future, they're looking at signs, they're picking cues, what should they do to save his personality?
Actually, you were talking to Shabnam about it. We also had a program previously, and in that program we also discussed, we touched actually parenting to some extent. The parents, they should not look at the children and pick the cues, they should look at themselves. Actually, what happens, the children, they use their eyes more than they use their ears, right? They, the modeling, like they look at the parent and they absorb whatever they see. They look at the parent and they repeat whatever they see, okay? So the best way to teach your kids, whatever you are going to teach is modeling. Okay. Is you do it, bring it in your life. If the parents are procrastinators, the children are definitely going to be procrastinators, right? So if you want your children to be non-procrastinator, you have to be first non-procrastinator first yourself.
So you have to be a role model for
whatever
you
want
to teach
exactly, them. Exactly. Okay. So by role modeling, you can teach them. Then you can tell them stories. They like stories, so you can tell them stories where the end is like in the process. In the plot of that story, there should not be any procrastination. Okay. But the best thing is modeling. If they are non-procrastinator, the children are going to repeat. They are going to model, they are going to see the parents and repeat it in an exaggerated form, because parents are role models for the children, and whatever they do, they take it very seriously. The children take it very seriously when they see their parents doing something. So modeling is very important. In that second, their programming. You need to tell them repeatedly, hammering. Okay. You need to tell them repeatedly what procrastination is and what procrastination can do to their lives. Right. And procrastination can eat the results and the consequences, the best consequences, the best moments, the best productivity moments of their lives. So that is how you can teach your children for non-procrastination.
There are different ways for different people. I think if it works for you, then good enough. I mean,
actually,
you don't have
there
to
is a research as well. Music without lyrics can increase your focus and attention.
Oh, wow.
So if you are studying, you should listen to the music but without lyrics. So that will also increase your attention. One more important point that we should look at it here. Things that we don't like, actually most of the time we procrastinate those activities. And a research says that 80% of the people in the world, they do what they hate to do, you know. So how can you like, once you don't like an activity, you will definitely procrastinate. And then they coin terminologies, like in Europe they call it TGIF, thank God it's Friday, right? So, you know, they just wait for the weekend to enjoy and relax. So if you don't like your work, then definitely you are going to procrastinate. So in choosing what you do, first of all, we should find what we like to do, what our passion is.
Yes, I was coming to that because for a very long time, I'm pretty sure if you're watching, you have been listening to procrastination, the redundancy of this word at my show right now, and also how, you know, different people procrastinate and how, but at this point in time, we're going to talk about strategies on how not to procrastinate. So stay tuned because this is very interesting. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, so one point is that we need to look like what we like to do. Are we living some other people's dream or we are living our own dreams?
Okay.
So mostly we land up in professions that we don't like, and then, you know, we have to manage that work and personal life balance, and then we have to, like, people then look at the watch, that 9 to 5 concepts come into their mind, and they don't work, and they wait for the weekends to enjoy and relax, and they keep procrastinating the work. So first of all, we need to find out what we like to do, what our passion is, what our hobbies are. And once you turn your passion and hobbies into your profession, then probably you won't procrastinate because you love to do the things that are actually needed to be done.
Okay,
Like, keep up with them.
And when the motivation comes, you know, there are, we can divide this motivation into 3 categories. One is called self-motivation, then social motivation, and then structural motivation.
Okay, wow.
Usually in our lives, we actually focus on one form of motivation, maybe self-motivation or maybe social or maybe structural, but we don't actually utilize all the 3 forms of motivation simultaneously.
Right.
And if we do that, it will increase, it will boost our motivation towards an activity. What is self-motivation actually? Self-motivation comes from pain and pleasure, like we discussed earlier. Okay, you can visualize your default
Rewards,
and design
basically.
future. Then comes the social motivation. We call it praise and pressure. The people around you. You involve them in your goals. For example, like Maha, if she was going to do a thesis and she involves her family in it, like hold me accountable if I don't do it, and reward me, praise me if I do it, pressurize me if I don't do it. That is called social motivation. So you actually make, you include people into your goal, and you tell them to hold you accountable when it is needed. And the third form is actually called structural motivation.
Right.
Sticks and carrots, you know. You design rewards for yourself, and you design punishments for yourself. So utilizing all the 3 forms of motivation. Another point which is very important.
Yes, before we move on, you wanted to add something. So, you know, it was sort of a reward for us, and we actually stood by it. We started offering prayers, if not 5 times, maybe 3 times, and then we moved to 4 and then 5. So it was pretty amazing, Mama. So yes,
that's a very good point. Actually, we call it, you have to transplant rewards in activities where there are no instant gratifications. Activities that are healthy, for example, homework, studying, exercise, or any activities that are very important in our lives, there are no instant gratification in those activities. So you have to transplant, but consumable rewards, like you said, Kit Kat. If she would have asked you, okay, I'll take you to the zoo if you offer praise, so she cannot take you to the zoo 5 times a day. So consumable rewards, not non-consumable rewards. And non-consumable rewards for results and consequences. For activities, consumable rewards. For results and consequences, non-consumable rewards. What will happen when you give non-consumable rewards for consequences, for the results? Those non-consumable consequences or rewards will remind you of your achievement and will motivate you for another achievement.
For achieving something great.
Consequences, consumable rewards actually tricks your brain. Your brain thinks the pleasure that came from Kit Kat actually came from namaz. So your brain tricks you again for another namaz, you know, because
is that?
So consumable and non-consumable rewards. We need to differentiate in
Thank you so much for telling us that and making me learn so many things, because I do have some, you know, younger sisters, teenagers, and they are so hard to deal with. I mean, even my mom and I, all the time that we speak on the phone, we're just discussing them. They have so many issues. I love you guys, but of course we need to take care of the procrastination that goes into your work. So thank you so much for joining us, all 3 of you, early in the morning especially, but towards the end. Very quickly, one-liners from all of you to the procrastinators out there, starting with Ma'am Shabnam.
Okay, you know, don't be an ostrich.
Oh, perfectly said, I think. Well, enough said. What about you?
Make a dream collage. Find out pictures, the car that you want to drive, the home that you want to live in, the quality of life that you want to live. Make a dream collage, paste it on a page and see it daily in the morning. That will motivate you and it will help you not to procrastinate.
Wow, that's brilliant. What about you, Maha?
I'll just say that wait for the results. I promise you I've like
Go on.
from here to here, I've moved from here to here, so please stop procrastinating and focusing on things more.
Okay, and start being productive because you do achieve better things.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you learned anything from our show, please write to us on our Facebook page with the name of World This Morning, on Twitter, World This Morning without a G, Daily Motion on YouTube, World This Morning, and if you've missed this, the repeat is going to be at 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, take care. Good morning.